Hi, my name's Wilma, and this is Wilma's Cross Stitch, aka Stitcher's Place. This is my first floss tube, and I just love stitching, and I've enjoyed the floss tube community for many years and thought I'd join in. I'm from Canada. I'm retired. My husband and me moved from the province of Ontario to Saskatchewan 2 years ago. He's semi-retired and I'm retired. And what does that mean for me? That means I have a lot more time for stitching. I've been stitching for about 50 years. I started when I was 12. When I was 12, my parents and I went on a family vacation to the Netherlands, and I had an aunt in the Netherlands who loved stitching, and she got me hooked on cross stitch, and I haven't looked back. I love cross stitch. So that's enough about me. Let's now talk about my stitching. August for me was a birthday month, so of course I had to start a new project. Well, actually, I started 2 new projects. So the first project was from Little House Needleworks, Christmas Log Cabin, and it's a series, it's a grouping of 9 charts, and I decided to stitch all of them on one piece of fabric. So just hold on a moment while I find that. Here we are. Let me show you the chart first. This is the entire chart, and I have all the individual patterns which I'm going to stitch. So I'm mostly an Ada stitcher, so I chose 14 count lamb's wool for the project, and the colors are looking really great on it. And I love stitching Little House Needleworks. I've done a number of their charts, and I really enjoy them. And I'm using all the oops, there the camera went a little crazy. I'm using all the called for threads. And then the next birthday start that I started was Celebration 2 by Hands On Design. It's a calendar thing. It's a monthly thing, and I'm planning on doing it as one large project. I'm doing it again on 14 count Ada, and this color is amber, and I've just got a very small start because I made a little change for the border. Rather than the brown, I wanted to use turquoise. I got that idea from another floss tuber, but also using the called for threads. I love hand dyed, and I use hand dyed whenever I can. So those are the 2 Christmas projects. Then I also started stitching Rules by Primrose Cottage, and first I wasn't going to get the chart. It's an adorable chart. I love it. But I had a lot of stitching motif design, but it was just so nice, so I got it, and I will probably stitch it. Many of you have seen it. Here it is. I'm going to stitch them individually, so I decided to start with no frogging, because you know what? We all need encouragement not to have to do any frogging. So here it is, and I'm doing it on 14 count pewter gray, and I'm probably going to do all the projects from that design in the same fabric, and I'm not using, I think it calls for color and cotton. And, you know, that's really hard to get here in Canada, so I've converted those to the recommended DMC colors. And the other new thing I started in August was a secret stitch. I'm going to be participating in a small exchange at a retreat that I'm going to the end of September, so I got that done. So I can't show you that because some of the people who go to that retreat might be watching this floss too. So now on to whips. Now, I have a lot of whips. When I first started stitching, I was a monogamous stitcher. But over the years, that has changed. And in the last few years, I started a lot of things. So I've got a lot of whips. So instead, and I think showing I have 50 plus whips, so that's just going to be a little overwhelming for me for my first floss tube to show all 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the whips that are in my whip box next to my stitching chair, which happens to be this. So I'm going to show you those, and as I do more floss tubes, I'll show you more of my whips, and maybe later on, 6 months from now or something, I'll do a full whip parade. But right now, that just seems a little bit overwhelming for me. So here we go. First one is, it's still in the Q-snap, and yes, I am a Q-snap stitcher, not a, I used to stitch in hand, but I prefer to stitch with a Q-snap or a frame these days, and I mostly do a Q-snap. And this is, I bought a PDF from Crocette a Go-Go, and it is called Nativity. So this is the whip that's probably closest to being finished. And I am using 14 count pewter gray, using 14 count pewter gray, and using the called for DMC colors. Next, and just by the way, I love Christmas. I started doing Christmas in July this year, and I was enjoying Christmas in July so much that I just kept on stitching a lot of Christmas. So I've got quite a few whips in my whip pile here that are Christmas designs. I also started, this was one I started in July, and but it's a whip now, Merry Minis by Little Dove, and I'm doing Joy, and yes, I'm doing it on Ada White Chocolate, and here it is. And I am using the called for colors, which are hand-dyed colors. Just one red and one, just a red. In the design, in the pattern, there's 3 patterns, and one's red, one's green, one's red and green. So you could use any floss you wanted to do that project. Next is a Brenda Gervais, and I love Brenda Gervais. I've come to love her in the last probably 4 or 5 years, and I have a lot of Brenda Gervais in my whips. And this one is not only Brenda Gervais, but is a Christmas, and this is Peace and Goodwill. And I'm using, for the most part, I'm using called for colors, except for the white. With white, I usually always use B5200. I find that it shows up the best on my Ada. So, let's see. Yeah, here we go. This is how far I've gotten. It's coming along nicely. And it's also stitched on 14 count lamb's wool. And for the most part, using all the called for colors. So, next, stitching with the Housewives. I have stitched a lot of their designs. They're very cute, and they're not big usually. So this is Mrs. Claus and her gingerbread, and I'm doing this on 14 count chalkboard Ada. It's a little bit lighter than the black, so I find it a little bit easier to see. And I'm using the called for colors, except for white, which is B5200. And next, I have a lot of whips. Every month I probably pull out like 10, 12 whips. Some I work more on, some I work less on, but at least I put some stitching into all of them. And this is October Wordplay. Now, I'm a little late to the party on this one, but that's it. A little late, but I've got most of them done. The only ones I don't have done is this October, June, and September. I still have to do June, and I don't have the September chart, so we'll have to see when I do that. I'm trying to get these done because I've promised the charts to a friend in Ontario. So there you go. I made a few changes on this one. Some of the words, I've changed the color they're all colors that are called for, but I've just changed them up a little bit. And I'm hoping, finished any of the word plays yet. I want to finish them all the same way, either as a flat fold that can go into one finishing item that can be switched, or I'll make them into pillows. Haven't decided yet, but we'll decide when they're all done. Next is Santa Stops Here. Yes, another Brenda Gervais. And I started this a few months ago, and I had just gotten I got the chart this year, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to get it because it's an older chart, and I didn't get it right away. But I saw so many people stitching it, and it's cute. And so I'm stitching it on 14 count lamb's wool and using most of the called for colors. And yeah, I've got a nice little start on that. As you can see, I have a lot of Christmas, so we know that all these Christmas designs are not going to get done this year. Next, With Thy Needle from Teresa Kogut. I started this in 2024. I started it in remembrance for my mother. Here's the chart, and it says, with thy hands, and it just seemed appropriate for my mom. My mom also was a cross stitcher, but she was a knitter, crocheter, sewed, tatting. She did it all. So I just thought it's an appropriate thing to remember my mother by. And she died a few years ago. She was 99. She was amazing. She kept stitching until she was in her early 90s. And next is Blackbird Design, What Remains is Love. I don't have a start date on this because I've started this a few times. Every time I didn't like the fabric. I started it on even weave, but I was just having too much problems with my eyes with it, so I changed it. Then I had a different Ada fabric color, didn't like it, and so then I finally started on this one. And this is white chocolate 14 count Ada, and I've got all the way around the border, and now I'm just working on it more. And this is one that I hope to get finished this year. I love samplers. I don't do all samplers, but I do some samplers, and I love this one. And it has such a wonderful wording. What remains is love. Next is, what is this one? Oh yes, Stacy Nash Animal Crackers Lily. You know, so many of us have started these, and they are cute. And so I decided to do Lily first, and I'm doing it on 18 count Ada. I think it's parchment, and this is how far I've gotten. So I need to work on this a little bit more, a lot more. And using the called for colors. Now, here's a project I have been working on since, doesn't say, but I know I've been working on it for a while because I've gotten some good progress on this one. And this is, and many of you have seen this, I'm sure, Plum Street, This Is the Day with the pink house with all that mortar. A lot of mortar stitching. And I've kept my fabric fairly large, and let me fix this so you can see it. So there it is. That's how much I got done. I'm still working on that mortar and hope to get some more progress on that in the next few months. It is also done on Ada, and it's 14 count pewter gray. I often go the pewter gray because one of my favorite colors is blue, and I just find that, yeah, I like the gray. And then we have one more, and I started this probably in the spring when it was my husband and my anniversary, and I wanted to do something in commemoration of us. So I've got this Forever and Ever, And I have just got a small start because I started it on another piece of fabric. Didn't like it, didn't like the color, didn't like it how it looked. So I restarted it, and this is it. I've got one little corner done, and it's also on 14 count lamb's wool. I sometimes try and pick something other than the 14 count lamb's wool. I use that so often. But I just find that, I always go back to it because it is a great color. And I find it's a great color for me as an Ada stitcher because it's very close to many of the the flax linen and the other linen colors. So it just works well for me. So those are my whips. Definitely not a monogamous stitcher anymore because that's what I was before. But sure enjoying what I'm stitching. So I thought I'd just share some haul. I don't have that much haul this time, but I have a little bit. And my haul comes from the online shop or the shop in Brighton, Ontario called Knowledge and Needles. And Anne is great. I just send her a message and I tell her, I need this. Do you have it? She doesn't have it. She can order it for me. So she got me I wanted some 14-pound vintage country mocha because I was running low on that. And I like having a stash of fabric because I like starts. So I like to have fabric on hand so that I can just start it since there's no shop close to me to get it. Plus, I got some hand dyed floss that I need for future projects. So that's the haul. I'm just going to look at my notes. I thought I'd share with you some finishes, but I thought I'd share with you my very first finish, the project that my aunt from Holland bought for me when I was 12 years old when I went there, because I thought it'd be interesting to see it because my cross stitch taste has changed a lot. So this is the project that I did. I took it apart and I wanted to refinish it. So this is it. You might think it's needlework, but it's not. It's all cross stitch, and it was all done with the regular cotton DMC. And yes, all that white was stitched. So I need to finish that because it's just a great memory, not only of my special relationship with my aunt, but also of my very first project. And then more recently, I have finished Nativity by Heart and Hand. And I did it on 14 count pewter, gray pewter. Here it is. There's a little spot, but it's going to be hidden when I finish it. And I love the tiny tabs. I have more of them in my big whip box. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a flat finish or a drum. I've never done a drum. And I've watched tutorials for drums, but just a little nervous about doing that. But anyway, we'll see. I might take the plunge and just try it. So that's that one. That's something I finished recently. And then this is something I finished, about a month and a half ago. And it's Hello Summer by Erin Elizabeth, a Canadian designer. And I did it on lamb's wool Ada. And I had this frame, and I just framed it myself. Very basic frame, just put some board and some tape on the back, nothing fancy. And this just sits in my, I have a little cupboard where I have a bunch of stitching stuff and I change it up every month. And that's sitting there right now. But pretty soon it'll have to change because September's almost here and summer is over. So those are some of my finishes. I want to talk about floss tubers. Because floss tubers have been such an inspiration. I have enjoyed the last number of years watching floss tubers and being inspired with them. And yeah, they've helped me increase my stash. So some of the floss tubers that especially have inspired me, and I'm going to look at my notes now because I don't want to forget who they are. First of all, Just Keep Stitching. Love watching Steph and Pam and all their projects that they're doing. Sweetwater Stitcher. I love her She shows a lot of Brenda Gervais, and I love Brenda Gervais too, so I enjoy watching her channel. Stitching with the Housewives. I've been watching them before Priscilla started designing, and I so appreciate the tutorials that they do. Helen D, I like her too. I like a lot of her stuff. A lot of her stuff is maybe simpler than some, but her tutorials are great too, and I enjoy watching her. Sable Stitchers, they're good to watch too. Those are just a few. And probably each video I'll add a few more that I watch because I watch a lot of Flosstube. Because of course I'm retired. I've got lots of time. But I do have two Canadian Flosstubers that I just wanted to mention. Mrs. Smith, I enjoy watching her from Ottawa, and also Darlene Dion, who's also a Canadian designer. So I love seeing what she's stitching for herself personally, but also I love seeing what her designs are. So those are the Flosstubers that I just wanted to mention today. It was great to share with you. I hope to see you again in another Flosstube. But one thing I was thinking I was doing, every Flosstube towards the end, I want to do a new thing. And it's mostly going to be a new thing about me, because it's a great way for you to get to know me, and to get to know me and find out about what I stitch and what's happening in my life. So the new thing about me this video is that I used to have a cross-stitch shop. When I was in Ontario about 15 years ago, I had a cross-stitch shop in Cambridge, Ontario that called Stitcher's Place. And yes, that's why this channel is also AKA Stitcher's Place. I loved having the shop, but for many reasons, including the fact that we had major construction for a few years there, we decided to close. And that was a really hard thing to do. And I miss seeing all the stitchers and what they're stitching and stitching with them. I had a Tuesday night and a Wednesday afternoon stitch group weekly, and so I miss that. So that's part of the reason why I'm joining Flosstube, so that I can connect more with stitchers, because there really aren't that many stitchers here in the small city that I live in here in Saskatchewan. So it's been great being here. If you like, you can like and subscribe to this video. And you can also see me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Wilma's Cross Stitch, which I started after my store was closed. And I'm there too. So it was great being here. I look forward to seeing you in my next Flosstube, and happy stitching.